So there is a chorus of voices calling for a recession next year, and it's getting louder and louder. But there's a popular saying that riches are made in recessions, so why is everybody basically acting like the end of the world is coming and being positioned so defensively that they're not going to be able to take advantage of it? Or they're missing out on opportunities that are right in front of them. I mean, I see more and more comments like, I'm completely sold out of this market because of the macro environment, and a lot of other things like that. But will we even see a recession next year? And if we do, how it can be a once in a decade opportunity to make a lot of money, and we'll talk specifically about how you can position yourself to take advantage of that opportunity if it comes. So if you like making money, make sure you like the video, because if we get a recession, there's going to be a great opportunity to make a lot of money. And if you want to see every move that I make in real time, the biggest discount ever for my group is live, and it ends this weekend, guys, and it has very limited spots. So make sure you jump on it and get your spot if you want to see everything that I do, all my buy and sell alerts in real time. You want to take 5 courses for free, see my watch list complete with price targets. You want to use our stock analyzer tool for free. You want to be a part of the best 6, 7, and 8-figure Discord out there. You want to be able to slide in my DMs, jump on our live Q&As that we do at least weekly. Get a bunch of videos that I can't post here on YouTube, but I can definitely post over there, and a ton more, guys. Check out the pinned comment down there. Make sure you take advantage before the sale ends. Again, it's the biggest discount ever, so you don't want to miss out. Now, we had the Fed finally pause after raising the rates the fastest that they've ever raised them in order to stave off inflation, which of course means they're trying to slow down the economy, which when you slow the economy, eventually you reach a point to where, you hit 2 negative quarters of GDP, and you have what's called a recession. And that's exactly what the Fed is trying to induce. So all the charts and the graphs and all those other things that say you got to have a recession when this curve inverts on the 69th day, which happens to be a Thursday, and there happens to be 5 days worth of sunshine, you're going to have a recession. Technically, that's already true, and it happened last year. Now, granted, it was very, very minor, which is what most recessions are. They're very minor in nature, but that doesn't mean we didn't have a recession. But keep in mind, because we've already had that recession when the chart's inverted and all the other crazy stuff like that, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that we're going to have another one, if I could talk, but I also want that to happen. I want us to have a recession next year, because that is where massive opportunity lies in the market. But unfortunately, when you think a recession's coming, or there could be the possibility of a recession, people start positioning out of fear. And that is the complete wrong strategy. And let me explain why, because I'll illustrate perfectly why that's a terrible strategy, and also show you the strategy that we employed here in order to kind of avoid those disasters. And it starts off with switching your mindset, because you can't fear recession. You should welcome and want a recession. Now, I'm not saying I want people to lose their jobs or any of the other negative effects of a recession. I'm not discussing that at all. I'm talking about from an investing perspective. You want a recession to happen, because I can show you all the different charts and the graphs and all the little pretty things that show, hey, the best time to invest is during a recession, but I prefer to use real life. So I'll give you guys real life examples over and over and over again, just from my lifetime, just my investing career, where recessions have made me a complete fortune. Now, the very first recession I encountered was after the tech bubble popped, and that's because I had the wrong strategy. I was doing what everybody else was doing, which was pouring into all the hot stock, .com things at the very, very tippy top of that bubble, and not buying whenever things were on a significant discount because of the fear of a recession and it's going to get worse and all these other things like that. I had the wrong strategy from the start. But the good news is, as that recession kind of dragged on, I bought my first shares of Apple, which just $3,000 in those shares is worth more than 7 figures today. That kind of return only happens during a recession. And trust me, guys, that's an incredible return, and that's life-changing. I bought real estate in the recession that followed the great financial crisis, and just go look at, the price of properties now versus what they were back then. Take the same property, you can go back there and look at the value back during that time frame, and there was generational wealth created during that time. And the same exact thing applied to the stock market as well. Go back and look, and you tell me, outside of a few crappy picks, I managed to make some, by the way, outside of those, virtually any stock that I bought back during that time frame has returned hundreds, if not thousands of percent since then. So again, massive wealth is built coming out of those recessions. And we can even look at more recent times too. I mean, look at, kind of the little illness recession that we got there. It was real quick and rocketed back up. But there were some steal deals and some stocks during that time that have just returned like gangbusters since then. And actually look at last year's technical recession that we had, which kind of coincided with the bottom for a lot of stocks in the stock market back then. I mean, guys, You were able to buy Meta, Amazon, Google in the 80s, Tesla in the 100s, Nvidia in the 100s, and a ton of other stocks that hit those lows in 2022 only to basically double up, triple up, or even more in just under a year after that time frame. You made some life-changing money in just the past year if you had the right strategy. So let's discuss strategy next, because that's the thing I see people getting wrong the most. And let's just go back to last year. We don't have to go back very far in order to find the wrong strategy. Remember, last year, 2023 was guaranteed to have a recession. It was going to get worse. You just wait. We know it's bottomed in October, but you just wait. It's going to be worse in 2023. So a lot of people position themselves in cash during 2023 instead of scooping up all the deals. That was a poor strategy back then, and we're kind of repeating that same exact strategy again this year, but we'll get that here in just a second. But right here on this channel, we took a completely different approach than virtually everybody else was taking last year, and that was buying the deals. We were busy buying, Meta, Google, Amazon in the 80s, Tesla in the 100s, Palantir in the 7s, SoFi in the 4s, you name it, we were buying it, despite the fact that the macro was bad and everybody was saying run to all cash. We were doing the exact opposite of what everybody else was doing. And that's basically because we care about valuations, and valuations back then were just stupid on those stocks. And that to me is far more important than any other macro thing that goes on out there in the economy or anything else that's going on. The guaranteed recession didn't happen, and I didn't care if it did or not. I just knew that valuations were crazy stupid, and I was crazy to pass up those opportunities at those prices. The valuation was stupid cheap. There's no denying that. And I don't know why I would turn that away for something that's not guaranteed, like a recession may or may not happen. It may or may not affect those stocks as badly as they're being affected during the current downturn that was happening last year. Who knows at that stage? But I knew I had something guaranteed right there, which was those stocks at stupid cheap valuations.
But Luke, now you don't have any cash to buy the next recession, which is guaranteed to be bigger.
Well, honestly, that's not actually true either, because basically from the beginning of the year up until September or so, I honestly wasn't making hardly any buys. I was just enjoying the run up in my portfolio with all the stocks that I had bought last year. So during that 9-month period, I was able to stack up cash once again and replenish my cash account so that way I am prepared and I do have cash in the event something bad happens. So we basically had 9 months of pooling up cash while we kind of watched our portfolios blown, 40%, 50%, doubling up. Some of you guys even had better than that, 150% I've seen, 180% in some cases. Absolutely insane gains with those stocks. Oh, and by the way, and you've been able to pull up cash as well. Now, I understand you guys are right. The people that didn't buy anything last year and have just continued to pull cash during that entire time have a much larger cash pile. I agree there, but I'll happily take my nice cash pile, but smaller than it would have been if I would have bought nothing, and to double up in my portfolio as kind of the counterbalance to that, because now that person over there has to double up their portfolio plus whatever steal deals we get this time around if we get a recession or not, which by the way is not guaranteed. So I personally think our strategy performed far superior to those folks that just held cash and I guess are still holding on to cash. I have no idea. So what can you do to make sure you're in the best position possible to make as much money as possible if we kind of get a recession next year or any sort of a downturn in the economy? First, make sure you have your finances in order and that you are saving as much money as possible, guys. Right now, there's no reason why you shouldn't. I mean, heck, you're getting 4 or 5% just on your cash right now, and that's far better than spending your money on something frivolous that you're going to get absolutely zero return on. So to me, hey, start stacking up that cash right now. Even if it's never too late to start it up right now. Which leads me to point number 2, which is start up a side hustle or start taking on extra hours at work, or actually do both if you are able to. Many of the great businesses out there today were formed during a recession. So saying that, hey, not the right time to start a side hustle because we could be going into recession, the economy's down, that a lot of times is where the most opportunity lies for starting a business. So there's no reason not to get out there and start that side hustle right now, if for no other reason than just make a little bit of cash, drive Uber, something like that, make a little bit of cash so that way you can invest it, because it's not about getting a return next year, 6 months from now, or 2 weeks from the time you invested. It's about what is your account going to look like 10 years from now, 20 years from now. When you view those longer time horizons, that few $100 here, a few $100 there, a few $100 there, consistently done makes a massive difference 10 years from now, 20 years from now. So there's no reason not to start right now. And the same exact thing with hours at work. Guys, you don't want to wait until a recession hits to start trying to pick up extra hours at work because they may cut back on all the extra hours. You want to do it during a time like right now where they still have extra hours that you can get out there and grab, because when that hard time hits, they may cut back on those extra hours. Now, maybe not, every business is different, but you definitely don't want to roll the dice waiting until things get bad in order for you to try to pick up extra hours. Go ahead and pick up extra hours right now while it's a little bit easier to do, because most businesses during a downturn don't allow those extra hours to be picked up. And finally, you need to invest that money and execute your plan as fear takes over. It seems silly now, but nobody wanted Nvidia at $100 because of fear. Nobody wanted Meta at $80 because of fear. Nobody wanted Tesla at $100 because of fear, or any other, Google, Amazon, whoever. And in the 80s, right? Those stocks were in the 80s. Nobody wanted those stocks because of fear. It had nothing to do with the business, had nothing to do with the long-term prospects, the growth prospects. Absolutely nothing that actually affects the company is actually real. It was simply fear that kept people out of that market. Everything about those companies, from the valuation to the earnings performance, everything said buy, buy, buy. Everything was amazing. The only thing that said stay away was fear. So that's the key right there, is when all the other metrics, the valuation, what they're doing on earnings, how they're performing, when everything else screams at you, this is a buy, and the only thing keeping you from buying is fear. At that stage, you've got to conquer that fear so then you can pull the trigger and buy those stocks whenever they're on those discounts. That is the only way you can take advantage and make those huge gains that you only get out of a recession, if we indeed get one next year. And remember, the biggest discount ever for my group is live right now, and spots are limited, so make sure you get yours. If you want to take 5 courses for free, you want to see all my buy and sell alerts in real time, you want to see my watch list complete with price targets, you want to see tons of exclusive videos, I don't know, release 3, 4, or 5 of them a week. You want to be able to slide in my DMs, jump on our live Q&As, use our stock analyzer tool. Guys, we offer more than anybody else out there. So make sure you check out the pinned comment, see if a membership's right for you. And click this video here if you want to see exactly what I'm buying in this market. And click here to see my exact plan for this market. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.